to another video on the West Ham Network channel. My name is Harry and this is part 3 of the Battles of the Number 9 series. On this series we have a look at the potential striker options that Moise may look at to either replace Antonio or to provide him with decent backup. If you have missed the first 2 episodes of the series, I would recommend going back after this video and giving them a watch. In the last video we discussed targets such as Brereton, Kelechi Iheanacho and Jonathan Burkhart. Once again, we still have not managed to get a striker signed over the line, as of yet anyways, so I'm here to give another 3 options. Moise Kean is a 22-year-old Italian international who plays for Everton. Moise Kean may well be better known for his time at Juventus however, after being on loan at the Italian club over the last season. Now the reason why I've shortlisted him as a potential target is due to his future being up in the air at the moment. As I just said, Kean has been on loan at Juventus for the 2021-22 season, and the Italian club have an obligation to buy him for around £24 million. I mean, that's what's being reported anyways. But according to multiple sources, Juventus may look to purchase him and move him on in the same window for a decent little profit. Moise Kean started off his professional career at Juventus, being promoted from their under-19 squad back in 2017. He was then loaned out to fellow Italian league side Hellas Verona for the 17-18 season, but after coming back from loan, he has struggled to find somewhere that he can call home. In 2019, Everton decided to take a punt on him and purchase him for around €27.5 million. But once again, Kean struggled for minutes and couldn't find any form, so Everton decided to loan him out. What was even more surprising was the fact that the French giants Paris Saint-Germain agreed a deal to take him on loan for the 2021 season. Once again, this move didn't really work out either, as PSG decided after the loan to not make a permanent move for him. This left Kean back at Everton once more until Juventus decided to come back in for him. Everton and Juventus agreed a €7 million loan deal, and this is where he is at present time. Moise Kean mainly plays next to a partner up front. That's of course when he plays, so he may not be entirely used to being the main man up top, and being the only vocal point for the attack. This would probably require some time to get used to, so coming in as a backup and learning how Moise likes to set up his team would be his best option, if he were to come to us anyways. Some of the things that strike me the most when I watch Moise Kean is his strength. Over the last season especially, it seems as though he's been hitting the gym a lot more and has become very strong on and off the ball. I personally feel he has most of the underlying statistics and build that would allow Moise to evolve him into his perfect striker. Someone who in years to come will easily be able to take over from Antonio and hopefully become even better. If you look into some of his statistics now, some may look slightly underwhelming. Scoring just 5 goals and producing 1 assist in 32 matches played doesn't make him look like he's going to set the world alight. But it is important to remember he hasn't had a proper string of games under his belt to find some form, and of those 32 matches played, Kean has only started 12 of them. If we start to look at some of his percentiles compared to other forwards in the top 5 leagues, he does impress in certain aspects. Being in the top 85% of dribbles completed per 90 with 1.49 shows that although he is a striker, he can look to drop deeper at times and take on his man. Moise Kean is no means however the finished article, with a lot of his game style needing adapting in order to fit into a Moise side. His creativity will need improving, with only producing 0.14 assists per 90, which places him within the 65 percentile. Another area of the game that would need slight tweaking would be his defensive contribution. Now we all know what David Moyes demands from his front line, so putting yourself about defending from the front is definitely a necessity. At the moment, Moise Kean is only putting up 0.35 interceptions per 90. Compare this to Mikel Antonio's 0.48. It can show that Mikel Antonio just puts himself about a bit more than Kean. I know these are very small numbers, but Kean's numbers would likely go down coming into a harder league however. There is also a massive question marks over Moise Kean's attitude. We all know what Moise is like with players' attitudes and how he assesses them. For me, this is why West Ham may be put off by making a move for Kean. For me, this would be another potential signing that would be a gamble, with no guarantee of it working out, but I guess you could say that about every player. However, due to him only being 22 years old, if things didn't necessarily work out, we would probably be able to get 2/3 of our money back at least, if we did decide to move him on. Now looking at what sort of transfer fee Moise Kean will command, you're probably looking at around £30 million. This may seem a lot, but don't forget Juventus have the buy option for around £24 million, and they will probably look to make a small profit in moving him on in the same window. Moise Kean personally wouldn't be my first choice striker for West Ham to sign, however it is a decent alternative if transfer talks didn't go our way with our other targets. The second potential striker on my list is Gianluca Scamacca. Scamacca is a 23-year-old Italian international who plays for Sassuolo in the Italian First Division. Scamacca has really burst onto the scene this year, with some of football's biggest teams keeping tabs on him. Of course, more recently, the biggest team in England even preparing to put a bid in for him. Well, apparently anyways. Gianluca Scamacca has recently been linked with Paris Saint-Germain, but according to reports, they are pulled out due to the price tag Sassuolo are asking for. Of course, one of the hottest prospects coming out of Italy at the moment, his price tag isn't going to be cheap. I believe Sassuolo are looking for a fee around £40 to £50 million. So I'll let you have a think about if West Ham are going to pay that or not. For the purpose of this video, let's hypothetically say we would. Scamacca has spent a lot of his career on loan since being promoted from Sassuolo's under-19 team back in 2017, having played for the likes of Cremonese, PEC Zwolle, Ascoli and more recently Genoa. As I said earlier, this year has really been Scamacca's breakthrough year, with a lot of eyes now being on him. When playing for Sassuolo, Scamacca usually plays as a lone striker in a 4-3-3, which is of course similar to what Antonio does at the moment. Due to Scamacca's domineering height, he's more than capable of battling against defenders on his own. Scamacca is very different to Antonio, however, as he does not like to spend his time pulling out wide. He prefers staying more centrally, which of course may interest some of our fan base, as they believe this is what we need as a striker option. For me, I'm not too sure. This isn't me saying I think Scamacca is a bad player, just saying I think there are better options for the style we play. If we have a look at Scamacca's statistics now, he has netted 16 goals this season within 36 matches played, but disappointingly registered 0 assists. You can see from Scamacca's percentiles that he really lacks within the passing and creativity numbers, but he is very prolific within the shooting statistics. He is within the top 93 percentile for non-penalty goals, putting up 0.63 per 90 minutes. This is a massive difference compared to Antonio, who is only in the top 40 percentile, producing 0.29 per 90. Scamacca also produces 3.27 shots per 90, which places him within the top 84 percentile out of all forwards in the top 5 leagues. So as you can see, Scamacca is a very good finisher, and if that is all you're after within a striker, he would probably be the best option to go for at the moment. However, if we look outside of his shooting statistics and look at the other areas of his game, they may seem a bit lackluster. As I said earlier, Scamacca isn't really a creator, which isn't necessarily a problem if the team he is coming into already has players creating plenty of opportunities. But when our current striker Antonio is creating 3.13 shot creating actions per 90, it shows that a lot of creativity does stem from our striker in the way Moise sets up his team. Scamacca at present is only creating 2.22 shot creating actions per 90 in the Serie A, and of course coming into a stronger league these numbers are likely to go down even more. But it isn't just shot creating actions that Scamacca is let down upon. If you look at progressive carries, dribbles completed and touches in the attacking penalty area, Michail Antonio beats Scamacca on every single one. This just essentially shows us that Michail Antonio is going to be better at driving West Ham forward and getting him up the pitch. If we compare the numbers, Scamacca is producing 2.47 progressive carries per 90 compared to Antonio's 3.91. Scamacca is also only putting up 0.71 dribbles completed per 90 compared to Antonio's 1.42. So although we will sometimes slate Antonio for not being the best finisher, it is important to note that the other important things he does for our side. Now once again, I do want to reiterate that this isn't me saying Scamacca is a bad player. I think he is good at what he does, but I'm just trying to highlight that certain players may not work the best in different styles of play. There is even question marks whether or not Scamacca is likely to even want to pursue a move to West Ham. With links also coming from PSG, it may be a case he thinks he's a step above the likes of West Ham, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if or until West Ham make the £40 to £50 million bid to Sassuolo. For me, although I do think Scamacca will become one of the best strikers in the world in years to come, I don't think West Ham are the best suitors for him, and vice versa. If Moise is going to set up the same way he did last season, with a striker having to be mobile and run the channels a lot, I think the move doesn't make a lot of sense, as yet again we'll be bringing a striker in to play a style of play that doesn't suit him. The same way Sebastian Haller didn't work for us, not because he was a bad player, but due to the fact that the type of striker he wasn't the type of striker David Moyes needed. And for a price tag of around £40 to £50 million, I can see it being Haller 2.0. I mean, we only have to look at the way Scamacca plays, and his statistics prove that he's a complete different type of striker to Michail Antonio. The third and final potential striker on my list is Brereton Diaz. Brereton is a 23-year-old Chilean international who plays for Blackburn Rovers in the Championship. Brereton Diaz only recently just become a Chilean international after finding some Chilean roots in his family's history, and in a bid to look more South American, decided to add the Diaz onto his last name. Although he represents Chile, Brereton was actually born in Stoke-on-Trent, so he's very fluent in the English language. Blackburn signed Brereton back in 2018, on loan originally, before making his move a permanent one the season after. The fee agreed was around £6 million, so of course if Blackburn were to sell, they would be looking to make a nice profit, especially considering Nottingham Forest have a sell-on clause involved as well. However, some good news for West Ham would be that Brereton only has 12 months left on his deal, so we'll probably be able to get a deal over the line for a cheap figure. When playing for Blackburn, Brereton Diaz is deployed in two main positions. When playing within a front three, he's normally placed on the left of the front three, with a target man like Sam Gallagher playing in a central role. However, if Gallagher isn't available, he can be deployed through the middle. His second position is at striker, but when he plays up front, Blackburn normally switch from a back four to a back three and play a strike partnership, which includes Brereton and Gallagher. When playing internationally, however, he is the main man up front and plays within a front three. For me, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, as it would also give us depth out on the left as well, if we were to go more attacking and keep Antonio on the pitch as well. I mean, if we look at Brereton's season heat map, he is heavily involved in on the left hand side. This is obviously due to being played out wide for most games. But even if he favoured coming off the left when he played up front, this would be identical to what Antonio does for West Ham right now. So it could be a seamless transition if they were to switch from game to game. It had been reported this week that Brereton could be available for around £12.5 million. Now for a backup striker to Antonio, this would be a no-brainer, to me anyways. He's at a good age still, and this would allow Moyes to work with him and improve him even more. And also due to how cheap he would be, it would possibly still allow West Ham to bring in another striker as well, a more marquee statement signing. If we look into Brereton's statistics right now, he's had a very impressive season, netting 22 goals and contributing towards 3 assists within 37 matches played. This ranks him as the third highest goal scorer in the Championship. This has been his most impressive season so far, so it's obvious to see why West Ham are interested. Ben Brereton overperformed his expected goals by near enough 2 goals, and also overperformed his expected assists as well. He averages 0.65 goals per 90 minutes, so just over a goal every other game essentially. He's also taken around just over 3 shots per game, which is more than Mikel Antonio, who is at 2.34. The only negative to Ben Brereton within his attacking statistics would be his creativity. In the last season, he was only averaging 0.67 shot creating actions per 90, compared to Antonio's mammoth 3.13. This of course would be an area where we need to improve, but coming into a better league surrounded by better players, it should be a lot easier for him to do this. Ben Brereton is also a progressive dribbler like Mikel Antonio. Brereton attempts 3.78 dribbles per 90 and has a success rate of 47.4%. This means he has 2 successful dribbles per 90, which is higher than Mikel Antonio, who is only at 1.42. This of course will come down to Brereton playing off the left, but it shows he has it in his locker to progress the side of his dribbling. Ben Brereton is also a force in the air as well. Although only being 6'1", he has around 3.17 aerial duels per 90. This would show he is more than physical enough to play up top by himself and replicate what Antonio brings to the side. Another improvement Brereton would need to add to his game would be his defensive work, only putting up 0.59 tackles per 90 and 0.23 interceptions per 90. This will definitely need to improve in order to win over David Moise. Comparing this to Antonio, who puts over 0.77 tackles per 90 and 0.48 interceptions per 90. For me, this signing will make a lot of sense, as more than likely Mikel Antonio will be leading the front line next season, whether we like it or not. And I do not have a problem with that, providing we have backup, so we can give Antonio a rest every now and then. And a £12.5 million backup wouldn't be a bad idea, if Moise cannot get the main striker he's after this window. Although I don't think Ben Brereton would pull him up any trees, I do think he would do a job and contribute towards the side, especially against lower sides and in the Conference League. After looking at the 3 potential options, I believe Ben Brereton would probably be the best option, due to the price tag and also the subtle similarities with Mikel Antonio. In my opinion, I think David Moise is after Armando Broja, who we spoke about in the first episode. So if he isn't available, then Brereton Diaz, as well as another attacking player, may be the best option to go with. But of course, that is just my opinion at the end of the day. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also tell me if you'd like me to look at any other potential striker targets. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah.